You're listening and watching Stuck in the Middle podcast. This is a platform for entrepreneurs, innovators, and creators of African descent where you hear stories, ideas, and experiences of how we can break the mold, how we can break barriers. We appreciate every single one of you who shop merch on our website. That's how we're able to drive this machine. So please go on Stuck in the Middle podcast, sitmpodcast.com/store. You shop Stuck in the Middle podcast merch. We appreciate y'all. And this particular episode has been sponsored by Perfect Office Solution that provide office space for entrepreneurs in the DMV area. So hit them up, let them know we sent you. Get 10% off your professional, flexible office space if you use promo code SITM Podcast. That's 10% off a Perfect Office Solution. You heard? Listen, I'm excited for this podcast. This episode today has been a long time in the making. Our guest is here in the building in the flesh. She is a visionary, multi-award winning entrepreneur, including the 2008 Women Entrepreneur Award by Women in Business International. She is a philanthropist and the founder of Lexis Lil Bug. Please welcome Lexi. Stuck in Real Podcast. Erika Jernigan. That's you. How you pronounce your last name?
It's Erika Jernigan.
Jernigan.
Yes,
Erika
Jernigan.
Stuck in Real Podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We finally got this together.
You know what I mean?
Finally.
I want to. You said, what does it mean to be intentional and be the best version of yourself? I want to break the ice that way.
Okay. So basically, intentionally being the best version of me is striving every single day to do my best, to do everything that I can to push my company forward and help out in the community. And that's basically the gist of it. It's just making sure that every single day and every moment and opportunity that I have is that I present my best at all times.
I dig it. Who is Erika for, those who are unfamiliar with what you do out here in Baltimore, the community in PG in Maryland? Who is Erika?
So Erika is an entrepreneur. I'm very empathetic and community driven. I love giving back to the community and family oriented. I just stay as positive as I can and grounded in my faith and making sure that I set the example of what people can attain even through the hardships or the obstacles of being a business owner. I try to make sure that I show the real side.
Where you from?
So I'm from Maryland. I grew up in Prince George's County and Anne Arundel County, and now I live in Baltimore. So
I dig it. Yeah, that's like
Maryland through and through.
I dig it. Be more like the heart of Baltimore. We're in Baltimore, Baltimore County.
West Baltimore.
Okay.
In the city, yeah. So,
how is it like being an entrepreneur in Baltimore?
It is very busy. It's nice. I've received a lot of support and a lot of resources. There's a lot of support that's been pushed out from different programs within the city. So Baltimore City right now, they basically are making it so entrepreneurs have access to different programs to push their companies or businesses or nonprofits along to make sure that they're successful and giving them a platform. That's the biggest thing right now in Baltimore, is making sure entrepreneurs or nonprofit leaders, they're able to have a platform. So they're definitely doing that, and there's a lot that's going on right now.
I think so. You founded an innovative solution to service professional mothers and their children in what is called Lexis Lil Bug.
Yeah.
What inspired that, first of all, and what is it exactly?
So Lexis Lil Bug is a children's rideshare service where I transport kids from school, to and from school, to gymnastic practice, grandma house, wherever their parents need them to go every day of the week. So right now, most of my clients, they are contracted for an entire school year. So we have two options where parents can book one-time rides, or they can contract and reserve slots. So they can do just a morning pickup, or they can do afternoon pickup, just depending on what their needs are. So I service Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County right now.
What was it that said, listen, I'm about to start a ride sharing? Like, how did that come?
The crazy thing was, I used to work for a bank, and they had decided to make a shift change. And when they did that, it affected multiple people at the job, because they took one of the team members. She went from an 8 to 4:30 to a 12 to 11. So she didn't really have time or the capacity to be able to go and get her kids. And she was at work distraught, trying to figure out one, was she gonna have to quit her job, and if not, how was she gonna get her kids from school? Because most daycares, they charge by the minute after 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
For, whatever that time, that end time
crazy
is.
amount by the minute.
Yeah. So I'm a solution finder. I don't really like to stay stuck on the problem. It's like, okay, how are we going to fix this? So I was at work and trying to find a solution for her, and that's where I didn't really find it. So one day driving to work, something was like, why don't you start a children's ride share service? And in that moment, it was born. I made my logo, I came up with the name, and I sent the trademark off to the U.S. trademark office, and that was the start.
What was it like? That first, who was the first client? Was it your coworker?
No, so actually my first client came from a referral from my boyfriend's sister, because she owns a transportation service. So when I first started in the industry, of course, like, I'm going to do research. I was being mentored through her. Any question that I had, she may not have had rideshare, but she knew transportation. So somebody called her and she referred them to me, and she was my first client. So at that time, I had already been working for Uber for like 9 months. I was working at my full-time job, and then I took on my client. So in the mornings, I would get her, and then I would go do some hours, a couple hours extra with Uber or Lyft, and then I go to work. And, it was like that for at least 9 months. And then last April, God pushed me out the boat, and I got let go from my job. And, in the moment, my business coach, who I had been working with for like a year, it was a little less than a year. He sold into me that day. And I reached out to my boyfriend, of course, because that's home. This is a whole financial upset, obstacle that's getting ready to come in. So they both supported me, and the first thing they said was like, you're gonna be fine. You have a business, you have a whole business, you have a way to make it work. So now I have the time to to pour into my company now 100%, instead of trying to do it part-time. Now I have all the time in the world. So I launched it full-time in September of last year. Wow. And it's been rolling ever since.
How exactly does it work? I got a kid, I'm like, dang, I got a commitment tomorrow. And I've heard of Lexis Lil Bug by Erika Jernigan. How does it work? What do I do?
So you would go to lexislilbug.com, and I have a form reservation software that will go in, and you can reserve the ride, and you can actually see the quote. You put in the address, and you can be able to pull up how much the ride is going to cost. It'll show if that time frame is available, and then also you can download the mobile app, which is available on Apple and Android, and our clients are able to request trips in there also. So if the slots are available, the time is available, then I'll go into the system and confirm it, and then reach out to the parent. But everything is basically electronic. It's digital for the most part. And I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just through the website.
Yeah.
They can go in, learn how the services work. The policy and procedures are on there. The breakdown of the expectations and the code of conduct for how, I expect my drivers to be, and also how the children should be when they're in the care of our drivers.
Yeah, you just say, because I was going to ask, like, don't you stretch yourself thin, and, so you got drivers. It's not just you.
Well, right now it is just me. Right now I did launch a crowdfunding campaign, so that way I'll be able to raise funds so I can hire new people, because I have I have an extensive waiting list right now for families who are wanting to use the service, but I'm not able to fulfill all of the demand. So, and then as the company is growing and the brand is becoming recognized more families are reaching out to be able to use the service. So, during the busy time frame, I'm not available, but during the evenings and the weekends, the schedule is pretty flexible.
It's a huge service. It's like, finding a need and plugging that hole.
Yeah,
really.
And that's basically what business is recognizing the need and fulfilling it. I mean, that's, not to say that it's that easy, but really what it boils down to is solving a problem.
Speaking of not easy, you mentioned funding, crowdfunding. As an entrepreneur, some people might shy away from that aspect of crowdfunding, or fundraising. Talk about capital. How are you funding this right now? And if you were to get, somebody might watch this like, man, this is what I want to do. I do Uber, Lyft, whatever. And this is like, I'm in Baltimore. I want to get in contact with it. How do you intend to, compensate them and also fund your business?
So right now with crowdfunding, it wasn't my first choice. At first I was employed full time, so I was using that to invest into the company. And then now, because I'm just have the company, I haven't done loans yet. I wanted loans and investment to be the very last option, because I don't want to have any additional expenses on top of the expenses of what it's taken to even build a strong foundation for the company, so I've been doing pitch competitions, any way that I can be able to gain funds or raise capital for the company and not have to owe any debt is, just has been my mission, because I don't, with trying to start a business, traditionally it's gone through bank funding, loans, investors, but it's like I don't want to give up a piece of my company yet. If as long as I can hold the most of the control, that is the goal. Because when it starts to go down that revenue, then that space, it starts to open up doors to where maybe the growth, the vision might have to change. And I feel like it's just too early for that yet.
How exact, what kind of, exact services do you provide? And you mentioned that earlier, a little bit earlier, but what exact, is it just picking up and dropping off, or what exact services does Lexis Lil Bug provide? So
we basically, just pick up and drop off for families. Like I said, every single day we're open pretty much all day from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. I've even had requests just last weekend to have a pickup in the evenings, like, late in the evenings, because she was, particularly going out of town, and she needed someone to be able to transport her godson. So, while she was out of town, she reached out to me and reserved. So a lot of my business comes from word of mouth, and it comes from my referrals and me networking. Networking is so crucial. It's one of the easiest ways and cost-effective ways to be able to get your brand out there and market without being able to have a large marketing budget. So that's the way that I've been able to, so far, has been able to grow the company and make, get it out in front of people. So where now, when people are having conversations when it comes to children's transportation, they're knowing who to reach out to, because of being present and in front of my people. That's just what the
I dig it. So, we're dealing with kids, people's prized possessions, and safety is, is a big concern. Speaking as a two-time new uncle, shout out to Saint Liam, the newest member of Stuck in the Middle podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, when he turns 2 or something like that, putting him into that car, like safety, how do you, ensure that these people's kids are safe, and you as well, and your workers are safe?
So Lexis Lil Bug has an account set up with the state of Maryland. So all background checks, fingerprinting, national sex offender registry check, the driver's record check, it all goes through the state. So the company, I make sure that all of the drivers has no violations, they have a good driving record, and then I go an additional step further and I offer meet and greets, so that way my clients are able to sit down with the driver, sit down with myself and the child, so that way when that first day comes to be able to pick them up, everybody's not standing outside with a sense of anxiousness because they don't know, who that person is. So I just try to make sure that we're building relationships with our families and with the parents, so that way it's, more comfortable and put them at, definitely at a better space and easier.
Speaking of comfortability and accommodation, do you transport kids with disabilities, and do you have services for kids with disabilities?
So we do. I haven't had any requests yet, but that is something that would be open for the service, as long as we just go through the proper channels and the requirements when it comes to transporting children with disabilities. But it's not something that I would turn down. The company is available to do that. I just haven't had any requests yet.
Is this so? What geographical regions do this Lexis Lil Bug cover right now? It's just Baltimore area, and are you looking to go nationwide? What's the vision? What's the what I'm saying?
So right now I'm in basically the Baltimore metropolitan area. I am looking to expand throughout the state, and then potentially down the road go national. But right now the focus is just making sure that I'm able to expand throughout the state of Maryland. And once I get the services covered, and growth within Maryland, then I'll potentially start looking out to see how we can duplicate it and provide it throughout the states.
That's essential, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, starting small and then going big. I feel like this has potential to like go nuts.
Yeah,
like,
it has a lot of room, and I've been making sure that I don't jump out there too fast and actually take the time to actually move a little slow, because I feel like if you move too fast, sometimes you might miss things. And I've been able to learn a lot about the industry and a lot about what my families are wanting and what they're not wanting. I actually, I sit and talk to them. I do surveys to make sure and see like how they're feeling, and that one-on-one contact with them, because they're the gist of my company. They're the focus. So I'm just trying to make sure that I cover all my bases as much as I can, so that way I can anticipate any changes that might come to the industry or to the market, and what can potentially impact my kids. So it's just having that total control over every aspect, so I'm not putting myself too far out there in a vulnerable space.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier, a little bit earlier, about doing pitch competition, and you've actually grown a reputation with doing quite a few, winning second, third, first place. And speak about the value of pitching as an entrepreneur, because I feel like it's people don't see the value in that.
The funny thing is, I am an introvert, so I don't like public speaking. I had to become very comfortable, even uncomfortable and being comfortable in front of a microphone and stage. Like when I go out to pitch, I move away from the microphone. I don't like to be actually behind a podium. It makes me like absolutely crazy, but it is an asset, and I feel like people should start to use it more. But in pitching, you still have to be very careful in what you say and what you put out there, because you're in the public eye, and it's not to say that you should be concerned about your competitors, but your most valuable information, you still have to somewhat guard it, so that the intellectual property, so that way no one else is able to duplicate it and basically take you out of your space, so it's just being cautious in what I say, how I say, but still getting the mission across, so that way people are still going to support, and most of the time, most people understand that, because it's business. Like nobody wants to have their companies taken away, from them. But I definitely have enjoyed being able to have the opportunity to pitch, because that's one less expense that I have to add to the bottom line of the company. And they're free, to go up and talk for 90 seconds or 60 seconds, or 3 to 5 minutes, depending on what pitch, what the pitch competition requirements are. It could feel like the longest 30 seconds in the world, but once it's over, it's like, oh my God, okay, we done. Yeah, so, but it's been good. I actually have a few more this year that I have to do.
That's about December.
I mean, in the next 3 weeks, I have a few more pitch competitions. So
grinding, yo. I said, introvert, you have to. As an introvert, and somebody who's done quite a few of this, and who had never pitched previously. What are the basics for somebody who's like, all right, I need to do this? What are the basics of pitching?
So the basics of pitching is
like, what's your advice? You know what I'm saying?
I would definitely say know what you're going for, know exactly, be very detailed in what you're going to use the money for, because most of the time people want to have an action or be able to feel that they're actually making a difference in your company. So if you need, in my case, say if you need like vehicles or drivers or marketing, then speak to that when you're pitching, because they'll tend to attach more to that and be able to understand, like, she can take this money and I'm going to make a difference in her business by X, Y, and Z. And also one of my business coach, the first thing that he had me work on was my numbers. So making sure that you taking the time to work through your cash flow, put in as much time as you can with projections and seeing how much your business is actually going to cost, because that's the biggest area where people get slipped up on and not tend to prepare for. And when someone is giving you their money, they want to know how are you going to be able to sustain and them not wasting their money, so definitely work through your financials if over anything. Know your financials, know your industry. So being able to speak to how large your target audience is, how are you going to actually work through to get customers, and what your marketing plan is going to be. Those are like the biggest areas when it comes to pitching, is to know.
This is
kind of like a mini version of a business plan.
Yeah. This is a quick lesson for and not lesson, but just facts for people who have been watching this platform from when we started in 2017. Majority of the entrepreneurs and creatives that we see in this seat are women, black women. Black women are growing as entrepreneurs and creatives in a great rate in America right now, but raising the least amount of money. So speak about the value of access to capital. You mentioned it a little bit earlier, I'm saying, the access to like resources and capital, and being able to like have money to bring these businesses that our sisters out here bring it to the light.
So we when it comes to funding and access to capital, I think it is a little harder. It's a lot harder for women to be able to get, because a lot of the spaces where the people behind the scenes, the people behind the dollars are most of the time Caucasian men, so they tend to kind of put what it feels like sometimes put us through the ringer, and where we have to validate more in who we are and what we know, and that we do have the capacity to be able to grow a corporation and actually use the funds in a productive way to invest in us. Black women are definitely very driven, very passionate, and we have a lot of tenacity and resilience in what it takes to even build a company. I just think that it's a lack of them actually being able to identify with our personalities, to be able to identify with our energies, and not sometimes in a space to where they don't, when we show up strong in who we are, they kind of take it as we're trying to be know-it-alls, or a transfer of power, when really it's not. Because a lot of times back in history is shown that when men show up, they're very confident. They're very bold in what they say, and society thinks that women are supposed to be timid. And when we do show our strength, then it's a threat, when really it's not. We're just confident in who we are, and we're going after it, and that should be something that's welcomed. I feel like it is starting to become more welcome as publications are starting to come out to actually put that scenario to the forefront. But whether someone gives me $1 or not, I'm going after mine. Period. My company is going to grow. I'm going to do whatever I have to take and gain access to any opportunity that I can that makes sense for my company to be able to grow. So even when you go to pitch, or when you go to talk to somebody about your business, even if they don't want to support you, you can accept that no and say, okay, because I'm going to do it anyway. No matter what, and that is what is really going to take the difference for companies being able to grow in any business is having a confidence in yourself to know that you're gonna make it happen, and you have to make it happen for you and for your family, you know.
One of the things that you also, you know, in line with that you also involved in big with, you know, me doing research is mental health as a small business owner. What are your fears? Sorry about that. What are your fears? What are your struggles? And as a small business owner, you know, so speak about mental health, like struggles that you go through.
So I do have anxiety and PTSD from past situations that have happened. I try to take care of Erika first, and I will, you know, limit my exposure, limit, you know, the how much people have to get into my space, and just try not to take a lot of things so not personal, but not making things too as heavy as they shouldn't be, or, you know, too heavy, because a lot of things in business, it just happens. So it's not like it's really something that's just intentionally trying to, you know, come after my company, or somebody trying to make, you know, my life difficult or anything. It's just business, and in business you just have to have a strong mindset to be able to deal with the obstacles. And even a lot of times I feel like people tend to overlook the good growth and success brings stress. That can sometimes bring more stress than the challenges, because people start to see you at a different level. And once you get to that level, people start to want to talk to you more, and they want to reach out to you more and have more access to you. So that, to me, has actually been more stressful than obstacles that have come up in the company. It's just knowing how to balance when Erika is available and when I'm not.
How do you prevent burnouts? How do you?
Man, that's still a struggle. That is still a struggle. I don't know. It's just sometimes when I get in when a thought comes in my mind, and I just start to say no. Like, it's okay. You don't have to do this today. Like, it'll be okay. Push that off till tomorrow. And in those moments, that's me stealing back my time and not allowing myself to get too worked up in what's actually going on, because my biggest thing, I'm very creative, and when I can't create, and it's similar to like a writer's block. If I don't have ideas flowing in my mind, then I know that that's a sign that I need to slow down and take a step back, because that I know that is my strength, but then sometimes it can be a weakness, because I'm constantly thinking and constantly moving, especially as being the only person. Well, let me step back. I have a team of advisors, but, you know, they have strengths and experts in what they do, but then at the end of the day, is the company still boils down to my vision and what I see. So I just try to be cautious in how much I'm putting me out there.
So you worked on the children's book, or are working on a children's book?
Yeah, I was actually just given the opportunity and a gift certificate for $5,000 to be able to launch for Lexis Lil Bug to be able to. Well, I was given a certificate, but I'm going to use that to launch children's books, to be able to inspire kids to know that they are worth more than their environments, to inspire them to be able to go after whatever it is in life that they want. I feel like, you know, especially being in Baltimore, the media and certain cultures, they tend to, you know, put our babies down, and they never really show the positive. So, you know, that negative depiction is just trying to change the narrative. Growing up, and I was very blessed and fortunate. But, you know, in anyone's childhood, there are always areas that could have been better. And my parents were very strict. And I feel like sometimes we put our kids in a box and not allow them to really explore and promote and support them in the areas that they may have. So, you know, if your child is an artist young, push them into the area of going out to sing, push them in the area of getting behind with the you know, I don't know what you call them, like a singer's coach or somebody, but promote that, push that, because the more and more that they get support at a young age, then they'll start to grow up to be disciplined, and you'll never know where they can go with that. I just feel like in society, even now as an adult, I don't want to live my life by someone else's rules. I want to live my life and define my success and define my happiness. And that's what I want my kids, and even the kids who read Lexis Lil Bug to feel, you know, to know that it's okay to be different. It's okay to have your own thought process, as long as you're not, you know, hurting someone else or being disrespectful to someone else. But it is very important to promote and support our kids in what they do, because they are the next generation.
Yeah. Did you win the award at the pitch competition?
Yes. A few. Well, the gift certificate actually came from an event from a company, Purposely Created. I used to volunteer. I volunteered with them last year, and she saw all of the work that I was doing throughout the year, and then she gave me the gift certificate. And then I also host an event for the youth, which is changing the narrative, called An Evening Among and Lord, it's so long I be forgetting. An Evening Among Young Stars Awards, to where we highlight and honor kids who are excelling academically, who are starting their own businesses, who are volunteering in the community. And I just feel like we have to touch on each aspect of areas that will promote, whether kids will be I have a science award, I have a math award, even kids who are in sports. And it's just to make sure that children understand, if you don't want your child to just grow up to only aspire to be an athlete or an artist, you have to promote the things that are in those areas, to be a doctor, to be an attorney, to, you know, be whatever they want to do. You have to promote those things early. So having that event, next year will be the third one. I've had that, and that's the first one was where I was accepted the 2018 Mayor's Business Recognition Award, was because of that event. So it's not just about the business, it's also pouring back into the community and giving a leg up for them also, especially for our youth, because I just feel like they're overlooked, you know, and really people will use propaganda or say in messaging that they're really, you know, we're about our youth, but your actions are not really speaking to that. Like, how are you really making an impact for them, instead of it being a talking point?
I'm going to put you on a spot and say we would love to be a part of next year's event. You know okay. Having spoken to a myriad of entrepreneurs, we would love to help in any way, speak, set up anything. You know, we would love to be a part of it. I think that's most definitely incredible platform.
I appreciate it. We have, I'm working on something very exciting for next year, and I'm trying to confirm it right now, because we received a lot of support for that event. We nominate about 17 kids a year. We've received sponsorship from Wegmans, National Aquarium, multiple, one of my business coaches, his company also for Will Holmes Consulting. He has definitely reached out and supported our events, and we'll definitely continue to see how we can make the event better and better and bigger every year.
What would you say to a younger Erika? I keep
It's okay. Everybody call me Lexi.
What would you say to a younger Erika? Looking at all the awards and where you are right now.
Man, I think if I was to look back on my life and me as a younger person, I would tell myself that it's okay to be you. It's okay to feel how you feel. It's okay to explore and be curious, and, you know, not feel like you have to be in the box. You don't have to follow what everybody else is doing. You can be you and still excel and be happy in who you are with your own thoughts and your own vision.
I dig it.
That's the biggest thing that I would say to myself, is like, it's okay to have your own thoughts and be you.
How can people connect with you? Find out more about Lexis Lil Bug, what you got going on next. How can people get in contact?
So you can follow me at Lexis Lil Bug on Instagram. Also, Lexis Lil Bug on Facebook, and then Erika Jernigan on Facebook. So I'm pretty active on Facebook and Instagram. So you can definitely use those two media platforms, social media platforms, to be able to follow me and see what we're doing.
Listen, I appreciate you finally, you know what I'm saying, stopping
Yes.
by. I'm glad we made this happen. It's been a dope conversation.
Thank
you.
you.
Know, I think what you're doing in our community is incredible, and it's the word is gonna catch up. It's incredible. Listen, we have had a pleasure of speaking with Erika Jernigan. She is the founder of Lexis Lil Bug, multi-award-winning entrepreneur.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Much success with you guys. I would love to come back. You
Definitely.
know, we plan it. I'll put in my calendar so we don't overlap nothing. That was my fault.
Yeah, we were still on top of it.
Yes.
Yeah, you coming tomorrow.
Please send me a reminder because I will forget.
I got you.
I ain't a millionaire yet, so I don't have an assistant. I got Google Assistant right now.
That's why I put in the calendar. Listen, we've had a pleasure speaking with Erika. I am Reflex. If you enjoy what you heard and listen, hit that subscribe button on YouTube and a ringer so you get updates and every time we drop new content. This particular episode has been sponsored by Perfect Office Solution. Get you an office space if you are a professional entrepreneur in the DMV area for flexible office space. SRTM Podcast is the promo code. You get 10% off, and go on our website, shop some merch. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate y'all. Listen, Cheery in the building, Mind the building, the whole team in the building. We appreciate everybody who checked this episode out. Erika in the building. I am Reflex, and we're out.